Maiden Castle is the largest Iron Age hill fort in Britain and is one of the biggest in Europe. It is just outside Dorchester in Dorset and is a magnificent sight. Its name derives from the Celtic Maiden, which means Great Hill. It was once home to a large Celtic tribe known as the Durotriges, who settled around much of modern-day Dorset and Somerset. The site was the main focal point for all the settlements in the area. Archaeological evidence suggests that the earliest use of the site was in the Neolithic age, where it was used to grow crops, and revealed evidence of a Neolithic causewayed enclosure. This was a series of circles made of pits, although this is not visible today. In the early Iron Age, the Celts created a small hill fort on the eastern side. Over the next 100 years, they would extend it westwards. The hill now included the ramparts and ditches, the exact ones that we see today. During its peak in the later Iron Age, Maiden Castle was home to over several hundred people and showed evidence of several houses and storage pits. Later finds concluded that the area was used for iron production, as found by archaeologist Sir Mortimer Wheeler, who dug the site in the 1930s. The Romans invaded the southwest of England starting in 43 AD. General Vespasian, with his 2nd Legion Augusta, captured the site, although evidence suggests that the Celtic tribes did try to resist. When Sir Mortimer dug the site, he found a series of 52 graves with around 20,000 sling stones. He described this as a war cemetery, with one Celtic skeleton having a ballista bolt embedded in its spine, and other traumas. Wheeler created a vivid story of how men, women and children were viciously killed against the Roman forces. In the 1980s, the site was redug by Niall Sharples, who felt that it wasn't a war cemetery and reappraised it as a standard cemetery for its time, because the bodies were not thrown in, and were laid neatly in order with their artefacts with them. Shortly after the capture of Maiden Castle, the Romans turned Durnovaria into a garrison. They built a wall stretching across the town and erected an aqueduct so the Romans could supply the town with water. With the Romans focusing on just building the foundations for Durnovaria and other strongholds in the area, Maiden Castle was virtually abandoned. It wasn't until in the late 4th century, just before the Romans left Britain, that they built a temple on the site. Next door was a hut, which was most likely a shrine. During his excavations on the building, Wheeler and his team found hundreds of coins and several statues which were imported from the Mediterranean. After the Romans left, Maiden Castle was once again uninhabited, although there's evidence to suggest that the Anglo-Saxons used the hill to bury their dead, and used it for farming, as that's how the site had originally started. Much later in the 17th century, a farmer's barn was built exactly over the war cemetery. Next to it shows evidence of ridge and farrow caused by ploughing. Today, Maiden Castle is still used for farming purposes and is still just as incredible as it was thousands of years ago. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please consider liking and subscribing.